Hey, how you guys doing? This is Monty Mansfield, the local neighborhood hope dealer and the host of your 90 and 90 podcast, guys. We want to get awareness out there on fentanyl and awareness on the disease of addiction, guys, because it's an absolute killer, guys. What we suffer from is in the beginning of our addiction, it messes with the dopamine system. It messes with the reward system as a false hack in our brain. So no matter what we're feeling like that day, it's going to absolutely change everything for the good and make everything feel amazing. So at some point, this is our only solution that we have. So we start to obsess over it. And when we try to get clean and sober, what happens is we have the obsession of the mind and it will continue to play back the good times. That's why they say you're always chasing that first high. But we know at the end of our addiction that this is not true. We have to continue to have the tools to be able to save our lives, guys, and God will turn your mess into a message. I want to share my testimony a little bit so we understand exactly what I went through and how my mess became a message, guys. So I grew up in Victorville, California, and I grew up with a family and I had no discipline. I was not disciplined. I used to call myself a liquor store boy. I used to go to the liquor store, no shoes, no shirt, and a Slurpee, all right? That's the way I grew up, okay? But I continued after I turned 19, I was drafted by the Houston Astros. So I was a professional baseball player for 10 years. And at 19 years old, I was given $120,000. And because of my childhood and not having no discipline, I could not have the foundation to be able to handle this. So then third year of my baseball career, first 2 years are going good. My third year of my baseball career, life on life terms hits me and I start to struggle with my anxiety. I start to future trip. I'm constantly worrying. So I start to go to drugs. I start to go to alcohol and I start to smoke marijuana to try to ease my pain, to self-medicate, guys. And at the beginning, like I said, it takes us to heaven. It feels great. It's like, oh man, this is what I need for the rest of my life. I had no foundation to be able to walk out of the stadium and be able to turn away what the devil had to offer. I had no way to turn that stuff down, guys. I did not see the devil's fiery arrows. I was getting plummeted with them. I continued to chase pleasures every single day until I was 28 years old, and this is where my addiction took a turn for the worst. I show up to the stadium and I'm struggling with my anxiety, right? I'm 28 years old. I'm in AAA. I'm driving my brand new Tundra, making $6,000 a month. I have this amazing house, this apartment that I'm staying in, and I'm just have this amazing baseball career going on. But I'm struggling with my anxiety and I just really have low self-esteem for some reason this day. And one of my teammates goes, hey man, you want to try this pill? So now this is when amphetamine touched my body, guys, and it disguised itself as heaven and it took me straight to hell. The minute that I put the Adderall in my body, everything changed for the good. My arm felt great. My anxiety went away. It was like the limitless pill. I went out and I pitched that night. I struck out 10 guys in 4 innings and I was able to drink all night long and wake up with no hangover. I thought I found God. I was like, this is what I need the rest of my life. I was suited and booted the next day and I had a doctor and I was now prescribed Adderall. And I thought at first, because of the first 2 years, the lifestyle of playing professional baseball and being on Adderall was so amazing. It was such a high. It was awesome. But you got to learn how to eat when you're not hungry and you got to sleep when you're not tired. And I end up losing a lot of weight. So my last season of my pro career is now 4 years later and I'm now 31 years old. Okay, I'm 6'4", 180 pounds, now throwing 85 miles an hour. Now I have 3 doctors in each city. Now I'm hooked on ephedra and Adderall. My truck is repoed, and now I'm about to end my last season of my baseball career and go home and live in mommy's house in my own bedroom with my little league bounders on the wall. That's where my addiction took me to, guys. It didn't end there because the obsession was so strong because it was the only solution I had ever had in my whole life to deal with my disease. So I get on methamphetamine after baseball because I'm lost. I don't know what to do in my life now. I had played baseball, I had gone to stadiums for 10 years and got paid for it. I had no idea what to do in my life now. So I end up going to crystal methamphetamine. I get a job over at FedEx. I end up blowing that because that's what happens. You end up blowing every opportunity you ever get because your whole main focus is just to get high every single day. So I start committing crime at 35 years old and I start that whole process of going in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail. I used to tell people I was Mr. Misdemeanor, but then guess what? I caught a felony because that's what happens, because when you put the drug in your body, you will go to jails, institutions, and thankfully I'm not dead. I'm able to share my good news right here. But at 37 years old, guys, I was finally plucked out of my environment of Upland, California for 3 years where I was in a vicious cycle of getting high off heroin and now meth, because that's what happens. Tolerance happens. And we end up drowning ourselves more and more in the drug to where we honestly have to get high just to forget the person that we have become. That's how bad it gets for us, because we've now tapped the whole dopamine dry and now all we're doing is waking up and we're trying to get well. So I end up going up to Redding, California, and I ended up going to be a vendor in a parade, right? So I don't have any needles to be able to get high with. I don't have the instrument. So when I look back, I know that God saved my life by taking me up there, and I could not get syringes at any one of the Rite Aids, CVS, and then finally at Walmart. I told a lady at the front of the line, I said, I need syringes. I'm a drug addict. And she looked at me and she said, get out of my store, you junkie. I went on the side of the building, guys, and I absolutely cried for the first time. But this is the moment, the gift of desperation that God gives you. This was my rock bottom. This is the moment that I could not use no more. I had to turn my life around, guys. I got up from that wall and I came home and I turned myself in, and now I've started 3 years sober last Saturday, and I'm super thankful, full of gratitude that the Lord saved me, and He showed favor on my life. But for me, it started out 3 months in the county. I went to jail and I slept, and I surrendered to God at that moment, because for 37 years old, guys, I chased earthly pleasures, and every single one of those wells ran dry. And the last 3 years, I put in God first. I put my higher power first, and He's changed my whole entire life because of the change of perspective. I went to the Salvation Army, and what I learned there is I had to be able to change my behavior in the moment, guys. I had to change my behavior in the moment. So I learned all about faith. So now I have faith for my future. I don't future trip no more. I know God's got me, right? I don't stumble on something behind me. Say if you're driving in a car, you got a rear view mirror, all right? It's small because you're only supposed to peek at your past. The mirror in front is big because you're supposed to focus forward. That's what faith allows us to do. And then we're able to stay in the moment because the moment is all we have. I'm sharing my story in the moment. A month from now, it will be the moment. We have to be able to seize the moment with good intent, guys. I had to humble myself, right? I had to work 40 hours for free in the Salvation Army for my room and board. I gave up my cell phone for a year. I gave up women for 16 months. I gave up social media for 2 years, guys. But what have I gotten back? I've got an amazing job in recovery, right? I got an amazing relationship with my higher power who talks to me like it's the best baseball coach I ever had, that tells me, let's go, baby. You probably shouldn't do that. You probably should do that. I have an amazing relationship with my higher power. I have an amazing wife. I went 16 months with no girl. What's God given me? An amazing wife who's in recovery, and I'm so thankful. We wake up on the same team every day with a non-toxic relationship, right? My social media, 2 years, no social media. Now I have a YouTube channel, Monty Mansfield, a Hope Dealer. I spread the good news, and it's growing. I've been having this awesome opportunity to run the 90 and 90 podcast, which you guys are going to hear right now. It's this beautiful opportunity to be able to share, save lives, and spread the good news, guys. I worked the steps. Because it gave me my integrity back. It cleaned out all my baggage. Then the 10th step, I continue to take moral inventory every single day, so it keeps me in the moment. The 11th step, I get on my knees every morning because it's a sign of gratitude to wake up early. I get on my knees every single morning and I thank Lord. I ask Him for His will and the strength to carry it out. Then the 12th step is to carry the message, and that's what this show is all about. This show is about carrying the message and saving souls, because right now, fentanyl is not even letting people hit their rock bottom. It's killing people. The obsession of the mind will continue to try to minimize your relapse, and then once you put the drug in your body, it will now maximize the relapse, and now people are dying because they want to get high just one more time, guys. Getting high is not the solution anymore. We have to find another solution to our life and to our disease, right? Your disease is doing push-ups behind you. The minute you put it in your body, it's about to take over your whole entire life, guys. So we are going to spread the good news. We're going to spread the message, and like I said, I'm so thankful that my mess is now a message now. And sometimes I ask the Lord, I say, God, why would you save me? Why did you save my life? And I hear this small, still voice inside, and it goes, let's go, baby. Hey, my name is Monty Mansfield, the local neighborhood hope dealer, and I'm the host of the 90 and 90 podcast. Our objective is to get the word out there and save souls. We'd like the young people out there to check on the internet, look up 90 and 90, and we have a podcast, and it can be another tool in your toolbox. I know early on in my recovery, people used to talk about, man, you got to have this tool, and I'd be like, man, what are they talking about? But now being 3 years sober, I feel like Tim the Toolman Taylor, baby. We want to get the good news out there. We want to continue to spread the hope hope about addiction, that you can get clean and sober, that you can find another solution, guys. Let's continue. If you guys can please like, subscribe, and hit that bell, baby, and we will continue to spread the good news every single day. Hey, today on our show, we got big guest Mike Byrd. He's an awesome person. He's a big person in recovery. He's a kind man. He has an amazing story, and we're going to allow him to share his story. He's an author. He's a real estate broker, and he just has an amazing story of redemption, guys, and I'm so thankful to be able to interview him today and to hear his experiences, his strength, and his hope. What's up, Big Mike? How you doing?
What's going on, Monty? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. So I'm so thankful for you to be here, bro. I'm just super thankful to hear your story and stuff. I know I haven't heard it all the way, but we're just trying to save lives right here, and you're a guy that has just you're a big presence in recovery, and it's just super thankful to have you here, brother. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about your experience and your strength and your hope, and just share your story a little bit on how you came to be getting sober, you know?
I don't like talking too much about, the past. I'll just say as a child, I started doing drugs and alcohol, real early. I was given drugs and alcohol from like the time I can remember. And, I went through a lot of abuse. There was a lot of physical and sexual and mental abuse. And my mom had me at a very young age. And she was a very sick person, and her uncle was a very sick person. And, I was used and abused in a lot of different ways. And I had my mother, I remember telling me all the time, like, I wish I never had you. I wish you were dead. I wish I had had an abortion. And, she was crazy.
Yeah.
She was crazy.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of abuse that went on in the home with the other kids and foster kids. And, there was just like, but I was given drugs and alcohol to kind of make me compliant. And then I'd get in trouble for them when I would do them. So I had there was like so much confusion going on and then so much anger that came up because, I became a very angry kid. I became a very angry kid. And, without going into details, like all this stuff, let's just say I did everything all the time, all the way, as much as I could, everything. And it was a very, dark, drug. It was a very sexual drug for me. Like meth was like the main thing, but I did everything. It didn't matter if it was meth, coke, GHB. I was resuscitated 4 different times off GHB that I died, had out-of-body experiences. And it was never enough to stop me, So when I see these kids today on fentanyl going like, why can't you stop? You almost died. I'm like, oh, wait, I did the same thing on GHB.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't enough to stop me. I mean, knowing that I died on the table, had to be resuscitated back 4 different times, in my mind, like, I'm looking at these people on fentanyl going, well, why don't they get it? I'm like, wait, I didn't get it either.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was that chase of that high, the chase of the drug, the feeling, and not wanting to be who I was. Yeah. And so, the drug usage was always continuing to ramp up, no matter how bad it got. And about 20 years ago, I realized, like, I'm in a shooting gallery in IB with, just pretty, I'll say unclean people. I'm here sharing rigs with people I don't even know, doing things I said I'd never do because I didn't like being me. I didn't like being me. I'd go out to work. I was a merchant marine at the time. I'd go out and make a bunch of money, come back in, and the first thing I do when I got off that boat was try and go get dope. And I got to a point where I came home and, my girlfriend had left and said she was pregnant with someone else's kid, and I just left the apartment, left all my stuff there, and just decided to become homeless, pretty much living in my car. I don't even know why. I didn't want any responsibility. It was like in that movie with Kevin Spacey, he said, I want the job with the least amount of responsibility possible. I wanted the life with the most amount of responsibility, the least amount of responsibility possible. And, and I had, I've owned my own gyms before. I've owned my own businesses before. I've been successful. I've been on the Chamber of Commerce and IB when I was like 25 years old as Mr. San Diego. I've won the World Jiu-Jitsu Championships. I've done, won the American Jiu-Jitsu Championships. I've done like, I graduated with 3 different degrees, highest honors, and like nothing I did ever was enough to like make me forget about, the things that I did when I was high, the things that were done to me when I was a kid. And, my first real stab at recovery, I remember talking to my sponsor a couple of weeks back, and I took him a copy of the book that I wrote, and we were talking. He goes, Mike, even though you had 5 years sobriety back then, he goes, I swear to God, we were taking bets you were going to kill somebody. You were so angry back then, and that was 20 years ago, and I had 5 years sobriety, and, it was in NA, and my sponsor, Mark Stevenson, like, he's like, there's a few people that I've met in recovery, and there's only been a handful that are the same that they say they are in public. They're that way in private, and they're that way when no one's looking. And Mark was one of those people, that I looked up to him, I gravitated towards him. He became my sponsor, and when he told me that, I was like, wow, And then, but he saw something I didn't see, and so even then I saw him, and here's a guy tatted up to his neck, and going to school. He's got his bachelor's degree, working on his master's degree, and I'm just going, wow, this guy like didn't cuss the whole time he was speaking at a speakers meeting. I said, man, I want what that guy has. And he did the best he could with me, and but I watched him, and I just thought, like, and he's still just like the same great guy. I hold him like way up here, and then my sponsor now, Brett, another one of the people, and his girlfriend Erin, they're people that, watching them behind the scenes, they're exactly who they say they are in front of people and talking. And when I first met Brett, I was like, I can't stand that guy. He can't be that good. There's no way, because I'll pick the fly shit out of the asphalt every time. I'll find the differences. I'll find the things that are wrong with you so I can justify the things that are wrong with me. And that's what I do. And then that takes me to that place where I can justify my resentment, anger, to go use,
Yeah.
Because I didn't fix myself, I wasn't practicing the principles of the program. I'd done my steps, I knew how to mouth it, but it wasn't internalized. God had to take me out, and I used to be so mad at God, be like, F you, God, I'm going to do whatever I want to do because you did this to me. You did this to me, let those things happen to me. I had ruined childhood, like, all this shit happened to me sexually and physically and mentally, and just, it was just like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Because you're an effed up God if you let that happen to a kid.
Yeah.
And my wife right now that I'm, going through a divorce with, but she would tell me, God didn't do this to you, man did, but God made you strong enough to help people who aren't. And God had to take you through these things so that you would be able to battle those things and help people through those things because of your experience. And he made you strong enough to take it. And that's when it started making sense to me. Like, maybe I am big enough to take this.
Yeah.
Maybe I can take this. And I talk about it in the book, like, if all my mistakes were made so that I could help another person not make those mistakes, then my life was made, with a purpose, and those mistakes were made in vain.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I think gratitude and just, being thankful, and when we first start getting high, something happens because we're messing with the dopamine. So like we feel some type of way on the inside, and we're looking for some type of solution to be able to feel better. And what the drugs do, they end up doing a false hack into our dopamine system to where we continue to, like, that's our solution. And it feels super great. So no matter how you're doing at that time in your life, or if you're struggling with the anxiety, or like you saying, you were trying to escape the life in your childhood and the trauma, we put these drugs in our body and we're able to be somebody else. We're able to be another person on this planet, and that's what happens, and it becomes our solution. So after a while, we start to obsess on it, and then once we try to get sober, it's hard because that was our only solution to be able to take us away from who we are. So now we're trying to find a whole new way of life. Like I talk about, we're trying to change our behavior in the moment. All we really have is the moment. For me, going to the Salvation Army and getting pumped with the Lord and learning all about the Lord, I learned how to have faith, and it's a super powerful tool for me because faith is what gives me a preview of my future, and I'm able to have the faith to go get it. Like 2 years ago, I had this preview that I would be able to share the good news to millions of people, and now opportunities happen where I'm continuing to be able to spread the good news, and now this is my purpose, but I don't have to get paid to do it, but it fulfills me from the inside out. So it's really been a mainstay in me for my recovery, is putting God first, and then seeking the Lord, and then letting recovery happen, and I'm super thankful for that. But the devil, I know he tries to do fear. It's false evidence appearing real, and fear was put in our bodies to evade dangerous situations,
right.
And it's not to be able to keep us from our future, so we got to have faith. And I've learned not to stumble on something behind me, because that is in my past. I know you've had to forget about some things in your past, and you've had to turn your whole life around and have a whole nother outlook on life, and you're continuing to try to help other addicts. I know you got something coming up to where you're going to be building like some recovery ranch. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
We got a couple things going. We're buying a couple of parcels, like 10 acres up in Campo, and it's going to be a place where, just to take people that are in recovery, people that I'm sponsoring, they go up there maybe for the weekend or for the night, or when they get a day pass, and have my horses up there, and chickens and goats, and just have like my whole farm up there, and have so they can go out there and go hiking or hang out, drum at night. Has a big drum circle. It's got some beautiful rock formations that are in a circle that I already have the vision of it, what it's going to be like, and the peacefulness that you get when you're out in nature, because there's no one around. Like all the other parcels are huge. They're like 200 acre, 400 acre parcels that can't be built on. So I got this little 10 acres in this pocket of big parcels that it just like God opened it up for basically $1,200 out of my pocket. I got this thing. The guy financed it, and one of my sponsors, he's buying the other 5 acres. And you know, just I was gonna say it shouldn't have happened, but it did. It should have happened. And I can't even say I'm surprised by it, because when I first saw those parcels, I thought, man, those are gonna sell quick, man. I want those, and they haven't sold because God had them reserved for me.
Wow.
You know,
wow,
I mean, that's
yeah.
bottom line. You know, because I just going through the divorce and everything I'm going through right now. I thought, man, it's gonna be a while before I get back on my feet, before I, you know, have anything again. And but then you know what? I thought, no, you know what? I'm capable, and I can make these opportunities happen. And you know, God lined everything up. You know, so we got that, and then I have a clean and sober music festival coming up in September 9th, 10th, and 11th up in Campo as well.
Awesome.
And that's to raise awareness for fentanyl abuse and methamphetamine, and then, you know, everybody that's dying from that, having some clean and sober music acts there, and speakers, and it'll be 3 days and 2 nights, and you know, have speaker tents up there, and have NA, AA, ACA, Al-Anon, and be able to, you know, take that and show people you can still have fun in recovery. You have like recovery games and a car show, and you know, the people, you know, putting like Bob from Alpha Projects, he's one of my sponsors, and so is Jenny McAllister. Okay. And he said, man, you're putting recovery back on the map. I said, yeah, because we don't have anything anymore. Yeah. We don't have anything like we used to, and the current model of recovery doesn't work. You know, go to a 30-day spin dry, come back out, can't get a job, they put you in a sober living until your money runs out, or a prison reentry program, same thing. And then that's the cycle, and we're the widgets on that cycle, you know. And there's absolutely no motivation for them to cure us, because if people are getting cured, the people that in those sober livings will be out of business. Yeah. The programs will be out of business. Yeah. It's diametrically opposed to their mission statement, which is to make money. Yeah. And I hate to say that, but you know, those people that run the recovery homes, they're not running at a zero balance. They're making profit, a lot of profit. You shove 4 guys into one room and charge them each $1,200 a month, and you're making, you know, $4,800 a month on one room times 5 rooms. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And then, like, when the money runs out, like, okay, guys, gotta go. Like, we ain't got no love for you now because you ain't got no money. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what happens. Yeah. And so when I see that, you know, I go, you know, Portugal had a great model. They decriminalized all drugs. People don't go to prison for that. And then what they did was, when people finally said that they've had enough, they come to the government, they match them with someone who's been through the program, and they teach job training and job skills, and they help them open businesses. So the people who open the businesses now receive tax credits, and they get part of their wages paid for the people that go through the program now. So you own a business, you went through the program, you're going to get an employee, they're going to match you with someone who just graduated the program. Half those guys' wages for the first year is paid for by the government. The people that use their businesses get tax credits and get discounts as well. So it gives people something to lose, right? Yeah. When you don't have anything to lose, you go back to addiction, you go back to using. Yeah. So what I want to do is there's 11 buildings up there that are owned by the Mount Empire School District, and there's 12 that's owned by San Ysidro Health. And they're the old empty buildings that were the original Japanese internment camps. There was the original VA hospital up there. There was also the juvenile detention center, and they're all empty right now. And so what I'm trying to do is, I'm on the decommissioning board for the 7-11 committee, which is the 11 buildings, and they have to have 7 meetings because the state has to decommission them. So we have to like go through the whole process, and there's a whole formalized process. And then when those are available, I'm trying to get those given to my nonprofit and work with the different like electrical unions and the different trade unions, and put actual, you know, apprenticeship programs up there for people coming out of recovery or coming out of prison, and also try and work with National University and some of the colleges to be able to give these people something other than, great, you know what, you're done with recovery, you're done with the meetings, here you go, here's a schedule, good luck. Yeah. You know, because there's no more money left. Give them a job, give them a career, give them the ability to actually, you know, have some hope. Yeah. You know. Yeah,
I absolutely love that, Big Mike. I love what you do, man. I love you're just an awesome person, bro. And for me, I went through the Salvation Army, you know, and the Salvation Army, what I love about the Salvation Army, and I'll say that it's the best, for me, it's the best program in the world. Yeah. Because how it started, how it began in 1890, William Booth was walking through the streets of London, and he saw homeless people on the sides of the road, and he tried to bring them into churches, but none of the churches wanted the dirtiness, the junk, the guy drowning in alcohol. Nobody wanted them in their churches. So he started his own ministry, which was to help addicts, in 1890, you know what I'm saying? And they got it right, man. They continue to, so he started an opportunity to where an addict that was out on the streets, they could cut firewood, and then they would be able to stay inside of his one of his places. And it's kind of the same concept to this day. So when you go to the Salvation Army, right, it's called work therapy. And this is just amazing for me because, like I said, you're right, there's a lot of programs, man. They get you through the program, and then there's no way to be able to live life outside that program. There's just no way to do it. You don't know what you're doing, and then you eventually go back to your only solution, which is to use drugs and alcohol, and then you have to go back running through their detox. So, but the Salvation Army, they got the work therapy, so you're working 40 hours a week because that's what real men do. Right. You're getting your meetings in, you have to have your sponsor, you have to work the steps, and this place right here just saved my entire life because I had played professional baseball till I was 31 years old, and when I got out of baseball, I was lost. I didn't know what to do with my life. All I had ever done was go from stadium to stadium, and then once you can't pick up the ball and get paid for it anymore, like I was lost. I didn't know what to do with my life. I had an ego, and like they say, your ego isn't your amigo, baby. I used to, I had pride, and I just couldn't start at the bottom anywhere at all. At any kind of business. I would go to FedEx when I was 31. I tried to start at the bottom, and I'm stretching out before work with all these like young kids, and my ego just would not allow me to humble myself to be able to get sober, and now I look at it like this: the leaders among us must be servants. So when I went over to the Salvation Army, because now I hit the point of desperation where I could not use anymore. Like it was done for me, man. I could not do this no more. And what I'm super thankful for now is because of the gratitude that I have, and because me walking with God, is that I'm thankful for my addiction. I'm like, oh Lord, you wanted me to be a junkie? Thank you. Oh, you wanted me to be to not make it to the big leagues? Thank you. Oh, you wanted none of my relationships to work out? Thank you. So I stay in a constant attitude of gratitude, and I'm thankful every single day because plus, we got sober before fentanyl came out. Right now, like you said, that the sickness is real, man. We got people, because of the obsession that we suffer from, that continues to try to tell us to go back out there and use one more. And like I say, it minimizes your relapse, and then you put it in your body, and then it maximizes your relapse. And what happens is people are dying off that one last time. Once you hear stories about, like, when I work in treatment, and I hear stories about guys that bought cocaine and they never used opiates and they snorted it and they end up dying because it's laced with fentanyl. Once you hear a story like that, man, it's like, whoa, man, what is going on out there? Or you hear a story about like how a homeless camp got a bag of meth and 4 of them died because it was laced with fentanyl. Right. So there's nothing out there safe anymore. And I also saw on the news that 13 deaths in the last 3 days from fentanyl. You know what I mean? And it's killing people at an alarming rate. What's your feeling on this?
Well, I mean, I got like one of the guys I just started sponsoring. My son-in-law Chris called me and said, "Hey man, I got one of the guys who's on my fight team." He goes, "He's too close to me. Like I can't sponsor him because he's on my team, and he reminds me a lot of you. He's young, good looking, works out, bodybuilder, fighter, and it keeps effing his life up really bad. Yeah. Just like you did, and maybe you can work with him." So I picked him up and listened to his story, and I always want to hear the guys' stories because like it's never their first run through, and I want to find out, I want to identify what is unmanageable about your life now that before you kept coming back, kept using. Why now? And so he tells me that he's down in Mexico. He took off down to Mexico. Him and his buddy, they wanted to go get some heroin. They got it. His buddy takes a big hit, smokes it, and then passes out, dies. So he has to grab some meth, come in, shoot him up, brings him back to life, and then he's pissed off because like, you're ruining my high. Yeah. Grabs the foil, the stuff that just killed his buddy. Yeah. Takes a big hit himself. He falls out. Yeah. Passes, almost dies. Yeah. They have to shoot him up with meth. Yeah. Like that's like so crazy. But it's like no crazier than, like I said, with me and my GHB. But like when you watch someone die in front of you, you have to bring them back to life, and you're like, yeah, I want to do that too. Yeah. Or maybe that won't happen to me. Yeah. I'm different. That's crazy. And then I have a friend. This is what's really hard for me is, you have Narcan, and they have this whole thing about helping people use responsibly. Man, I have a really difficult time to wrap my arms around that. Yeah. Because I got a box of Narcan at my house in case people need it, right? And the people are going to homeless camps and give them Narcan, but they're giving them needles, and they ask me, "Do you want needles? Do you want this?" And I'm like, "Hell, I don't want needles." Yeah. I don't want to be telling people like, "Hey, here you go, some clean needles." It's like, I don't think arming them with the tools to stay dope is, you know, that's not the way we need to. It's like, let's give them the tools to like get undoped, like to get straight. And, you know, and I appreciate the passion for these women I know that are doing it. But, you know, I had to take a long, hard look at that because I thought maybe I'll get into that and help these people. I thought, man, you know what, I can't buy into it. I'll have it here. If someone needs it, I'm starting meetings up in Campo, starting this coming Monday. We're starting an AA meeting there with one in my real estate office and then grow it from there. But I have, you know, the Narcan there. And if people need it, they're going to know where to come get it, you know. But, you know, I don't want to go out there and arm people because what happens is people have the fentanyl. They'll do some, they have the Narcan. They'll do the fentanyl. Don't realize how potent it is. They'll fall out. They won't have enough Narcan. They'll die from that.
It's crazy.
It is. It's like, so what do you do? So that's the whole thing is, you know, but I didn't discriminate. I can't believe that I didn't get any fentanyl. I bought some dope on one of my last runs with a guy out of it was those little mints, whatever the little mints are on the little tins, right? So I get the dope from him, I crush it up, I shoot it up, and then I was shooting up dope with DMT. And I shoot it up, and then I start tripping. My arm starts burning, and I'm tripping hard on the DMT, and then I'm freaking out because it turns out it wasn't meth, it was like breath mints. So I shot up breath mints and DMT, and like how crazy if I would have OD'd on breath mints.
Oh man,
you know,
hey, you wouldn't have had bad breath though.
But we don't, you know, talk about a hot shot, you know. But we don't think about those things. Like it could have easily have been fentanyl.
No, 100%.
And then I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
When you first start, I know, for me, you know, like I remember there was a time where I was in jail for you know, 30 days, and I got out, man, and I found a spoon that had like blood and dope in it. Like I was just so desperate. The obsession was so bad. And now I seen on the internet, man, they got this thing where it's called don't get high alone. So you call a phone number and you put that person on the phone, and they actually stay on the phone with you while you get high. So you're not getting high alone. It's like something I just seen. It's just unbelievable. Like because they don't want people to die. You know what I'm saying? They don't people to die out there. So they're trying every which way. You know. And you talked about. It seems like these younger kids now, because they got the fentanyl and everything. They're sitting there and they're like, it's like they're bragging about how many times they survived an overdose. You know. And I'm just like, what's going on with that? And then I actually was intrigued when I was at work one day. One of the kids overdosed at the park, and I end up running out there, right? And the kid's blue, and he's dying. It's terrible, right? So this other guy that had been on the streets, had seen some overdoses, he ends up hitting the kid down below, you know, in his private area, and the kid ends up waking up. Well, when he wakes up, the whole neighborhood's out there. We got the fire trucks, we got the cop cars, we got everything out there, right? And all this kid does is he just gets up and he wants to get high again. I said, bro, you're gonna go in the ambulance because you just caused it absolute chaos. So I look at it like this. I'm like, maybe if his arm would have got chopped off, then he would never get high again. But there's absolutely no consequence for that overdose. They just wake up and they want to get high again. They don't even remember what happened. And that's what's so sad about it. So you're hearing overdose after overdose after overdose. And now I just heard about some new synthetic fentanyl called Isos that just came out in Florida, which is 100 times stronger than fentanyl. And I also hear about how people will try to hit the fentanyl connect up, and they'll be like, hey, is this the fentanyl that has took people out? And he'll say, yeah, and that's the kind that they want. That's the sickness that we suffer from. It's the only disease in the world. Every other disease in the world, we want to try to survive. Cancer, we want to live. The disease of addiction, we kill ourselves slowly, one day at a time. We have to be able to find a spiritual awakening. Now I want to get into the big book a little bit. I love the big book. It's like it's just like, it's not the Bible. The Bible is a book that loves you back, but also the big book loves me back. You know, I read it and it's like it has emotions, you know, and I love it. And I read the doctor's opinion, and it saved my whole life because I learned that I actually suffer from this. I suffer from a disease that tries to obsess about going out and using one more. But if I put it in my body, I will activate the phenomenon of craving that is the allergy. And it's not like we break out in hives or nothing like that. We just break out in this phenomenon and we can't stop. And I had some clean time. I had 8 months clean. I was out in South Carolina and I was just kind of white knuckling it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't running a program. You know, I wasn't on my pink cloud, which we got right here behind you, baby. But I wasn't on my pink cloud at that time, you know? And every 5 minutes, it's like I was tweaking a boo out my window and I was worried about the police. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't got to worry about that no more, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Tweakaboo and police on the pink cloud.
Amen. We ain't got to worry about that no more. But hey, so I ended up coming. My cousin said I had to come back because of our karmic debt. You know, we get ourselves in trouble while we're in our addiction. And the minute that she's crying to me in her eyes, and she's like, "Monty, you got to go back home because you got to go to court." my obsession starts to tell me, you're going to go get high as heck when you get home, but you're going to do it different this time. You're going to go home and you're just going to smoke dope and you're going to be able to do it different. So the whole time I'm playing my family, I'm playing everyone I love, you know what I'm saying? And I'm starting to bring towards me the things that don't matter, because in our addiction, the devil, he switches the price tags on us. So we put all this stuff and all this care into like the connect and all these things that don't matter. And when we get clean and sober, it's like God switches the price tags back around, and we know what to put value in. Like, so for me and my addiction, me and my mom hated each other. We fought all the time. But now clean and sober, I love my mom. I love my family, because when you're getting high, who wants to hear don't get high? I know I didn't. I wanted to get high. So I ended up pushing myself away from everybody. And I went from playing in front of 30,000 fans to end up being into a garage with like 3 dudes that were tweakabooing out the window, watching surveillance, talking about what they wanted to do, but too afraid to go outside. That's where my addiction took me. That was my dungeon. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I ended up going home. I ended up talking my mom, because I'm a master manipulator. I talked my mom into getting me some marijuana, 2 ounces, because I want to smoke weed, and she'll do anything to save my life. My mom loves me. Our family will do so much to save our lives. But I end up smoking the meth, and within a half hour, I have a needle in my arm, and I'm off to the races to the worst 3 years of my life. Now I finally catch a felony.
That's what you really want to do. You didn't want to smoke it.
No, I did not want to smoke it.
But your brain tells you that, so that as soon as you get that in there, because you're going to put that needle in there.
Yeah. And right when it touched my body. So when I look back at the doctor's opinion, I was like, oh, I suffer from that. Or anytime I was in jail and I was telling everybody or talking the big game to my mom, it was like the minute I was about to get released, I would automatically jump over right to the connect, and I would get high again, and I could not stop until I was in the back of a cop car. This was like the vicious cycle that happened to me over and over and over again, until I was finally introduced to the big book at 37 years old. And guys, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like, I literally took my addiction till the wheels fell off. I ended up I tell people I played professional baseball till I was 28, but at 28 years old, I put the Adderall in my body, and I became a junkie at that point, because I wanted that first high so bad all the time. I obsessed over it. And then at 37 years old, on the side of that Walmart crying, it was like the worst day of my life. But now when I look back, as I've been redeemed by God, it's like the most powerful day of my testimony, and I'm super thankful. So everything now in my life, when I look back, because we live life forward, but we understand life backwards. Like, I have to have faith for my future, but I can look back and I can see where God's worked his ways. Like you said, God's lining things up for you, and you can't help it. Like for me, I feel the Lord has taken me from glory to glory. So each time the glory hits, I'm like, you are the way and the truth, Lord. And I thank you, Lord, so much. We all know where our will takes us. And then the 12th step is doing what we're doing right now, is to spread the message. So how did you feel, and how did the 12 steps affect your life?
Well, when I first, I was like, I was done. I was really like done. I knew that I was done, but I still wasn't willing to do the stuff, and I got Brett as a sponsor, and because I thought, man, that guy there, okay, I'm gonna pick the guy that I don't like the most, who says he's all this stuff, because maybe he is, just maybe he is. And we started working together, and then I got to the 4th step, and then my wife was doing some shady stuff, and I focused on that, and I put that relationship with her before my recovery, and I did that dance that I always did. We'd get back together. She'd do some things that were very not right, and then I wouldn't be able to handle it, and I'd use that as an excuse to use, and then I used for a while. Then I'd come back, put my tail between my legs. I'd swear this time I was going to be able to forgive her for her past and the things that she had done, and and I thought that I could again, and then she would do it again and keep me in financial bondage. And I was just like, but this time I'm like, okay, and I did it again. Like I got high again, but I didn't leave. I stayed at the place, and and then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to leave. And then I ended up, moving out to my old drug dealer's house, who was actually in recovery. My meth dealer had 30 days without any drugs, put himself in Stepping Stone, and he's got 9 months now, man.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I went to stay at his house because I told him I'm not going to get high. He goes, okay, don't get high. And I got high. I got high for a couple, and then I ended up going back home, got an honest 30 days. I was talking to Brett, and he said, if you're not going to do your steps, I got nothing to say to you. Click.
Wow, yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? I call him back. I said, but you don't understand. Yeah. You don't understand. Yeah. I've got taxes. I got a wife who won't give me any money. She's trying to steal the house from me. I got this going on. I've got this going on. I don't have any money for gas. I can't get to meetings. This day. He goes, those problems are still going to be there, whether you do the steps or not. But if you do the steps, you're going to have a way to deal with them. Right now, you have no way to deal with them.
Yeah.
click.
Yeah.
I'm like, I call him back. What do you want me to do? He goes, we've already done 1, 2, and 3. Your life's unmanageable. You believe in God. You're going to let him take over. But right now, write down everything that's pissed you off and everybody and every institution. Just start with that. Get all that done, and then we'll meet up. I sat there for 3 days, and I had 193 resentments on my resentment list on the column.
Yeah.
And then we got together, and he said, okay, now you're going to go across. Did that. Okay, now you're going to do your fears, your harms, and your sex inventories. Same thing, wrote it all down. So it took me about 6 or 7 days of like nonstop. And I put it on a spreadsheet, this columns and rows, but that way I could scroll, and I had it right there so I could scroll up with each person. And for me, it's a very visual thing. That when I start writing, I can't read my own writing. So it's easier for me. So I put these spreadsheets together, and I give them to people too, because sometimes it's easier for them to have it. So that way the top page is frozen, and I can be very thorough and write every single person down. There was 193 on my resentments. And then, again, we did the harms, sex inventory, and then it took 2 sessions to do my 5th step. And, 6, 7, we just prayed about, removing my shortcomings and my character defects. It's not a big deal. Like, people think it's this great big deal. It's not. 1, 2, and 3, done right away. 4, write down everybody and everything that's ever pissed you off that you're angry about.
Amen.
6 and 5, do it with your sponsor, talk about those things, get down, pray about it. 6 and 7, pray about that God will remove that. 8, you've already got on your 4 steps, so you take those things, you make the cards. And this is what Brett said, you're going to put on these 3x5 cards, the person who is on your resentment list, what you did, and question number 1 is, how can I make this right? Then shut up and listen.
Yeah.
Number 2, did I miss anything? Did I owe you any money? Shut up and listen. And then number 3 is, how did this make you feel? And that one, when I ask people, like, how did this make you feel? And I have to hear them, because I'm pretty self-reflective. And then inevitably, there will always be something that I didn't know, how it hurt them. And, that is where it really stuck, because I realized I don't ever want to make anybody feel that way again, because I didn't do it on purpose. And I didn't realize how much I was hurting them.
Yeah.
I just wanted people to, leave me alone. I would live in fight or flight. Like, that's how I lived my life, fight or flight. And, when we talk about the steps and how that worked for me and doing those amends, and then to the point where I'm working with other people, after 3 weeks, I was already working with other people. And Brett said, get on this side of the H&I panel, and now you've done your steps, and now you can do this, and which is most places you have to wait 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I started picking up sponsees, and I started getting sponsees on the outside.
Can we hold for the chopper?
Yeah, we got a helicopter.
So when I have to listen to how I hurt people and realize that I don't ever want to hurt them again, because I never purposely tried to hurt them, I think that for me was the change. That's where, everything shifted, going, wow, man, like, I really don't want to do this anymore, to hurt people. Before, I just felt like I was hurting myself. I was being irresponsible. I was getting high. I was, but when you see how you hurt other people you didn't even think about, it really changes your perspective. And so the way I can change that is to give back. And I remember this one little girl, or old lady, what was her name? Susie. She's at the Daily Reflections in La Mesa. And she was one of the original people that started NA. And then she transferred to AA, and then she started this Daily Reflections meeting in AA. And you read the Daily Reflection, and everybody in the room, no matter if there's 5 or 100 people, everybody gets to share, they self-regulate. And I would get in there, and she said, when I asked her, how does this make you feel? She goes, you just felt divisive. Like, you came in here with your big dogs, and you had to have your dogs in here because they were therapy dogs, and, and your big mic, and, you're just pushing your weight around here and eating everybody's donuts, and like not being respectful, and then talking about drugs and how, we can't keep you out of here. If you want to talk about drugs, you can, and you're just dividing everybody. And, she had just hurt. She said, because to put on a meeting that's a daily meeting at 6:30 a.m. every day that she created, it's hard to keep it together. And she just felt like every time I walked in the room that, I was there to divide it.
Yeah.
And I did some pretty messed up stuff. And so when I went to make amends with her, she didn't want to sit down with me, And I sat down, she's standing up, and so she's telling me this, and I'm crying, and she's like, telling me all this stuff. And I said, Susie, if I ever act that way again, I give you full license to call me on my bullshit. She goes, no, I don't have to.
Yeah.
Because if you do, you'll be drunk again.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's never going to happen again. She goes, we'll see. Just like that, like, we'll see.
Yeah.
No hug. Didn't sit down. Just the parting shot was, we'll see. And she walked off.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you know, and that hurt and that stuck. And it's, then after a couple of months, she gave me a hug. She said, you're doing good. I see something different. And that's because I really took it to heart that no matter what, I don't want to do that again. And no matter what, there's nothing that can make me take a drug again or to drink again. I can choose to, but nothing can make me. You know, what my wife's doing can't make me. My kids pissing me off can't make me. You know, getting in an argument can't make me. I can choose to if that's what I want to do. But, you know, I choose not to today, you know. I don't have that desire's been lifted, that craving's been lifted. And, you know, it took a while. Like, I got a really good therapist when I came out of, you know, I went through Genesis, and I went there for like 4 weeks, and then my wife was upset because she thought I was having too much fun there. And I got scholarshiped in, and we had bonding days, you know, where we'd go surfing, and like, you know, because they want you to learn how to do normal things without getting high. And she's the one who wanted me to go there, and I didn't want to go. And then I go, and then it's like she's upset, and I come back home, and she took a bunch of money. I cleared out the bank accounts, and I was pissed. I'm like, you don't put it back, and then we're going to get separated. And that's when we first separated. And, you know, and I wanted to get clean then, but I hadn't stuck around Genesis and left. I didn't do the whole program, but she wanted me to come home. But the psychiatrist at Genesis was still seeing me because she was worried about me. And she said, well, you know, don't leave your wife yet. Like, maybe you should, like, don't make any decisions yet. Well, here's a couple of good counselors, and you go interview them, and like, maybe you guys can work this out. So her and I went to go see Dr. Moore, and he sat down with us, and he had me pegged, and her too, but she didn't like it. She didn't like what he said. She said, you know, he didn't put a gun to your head. He didn't make you do drugs. And you know, if you did it for 3 years, you know, you kind of might like it. You may not be an addict like he is, but you got problems. Didn't want to hear it, so she never went back. But then, you know, she actually left early, and so him and I kept talking, and you know, I kept talking, he kept listening, okay, because I'm telling him everything, you know. He said, are you done yet? And I said, well, I just want to make sure that, you know, you have all the information so like you can understand me. He goes, no, you're probably doing what you do to everybody. You just talk over them long enough and loud enough till they just get tired of it and agree with you just to shut you up. And that was like the first thing that stuck. That he said.
I love the change that's happening, you know, because who I've met, the Mike Byrd I met's a totally different person, a humble man, and just continuing to want to work with people. And, you know, I wanted to talk now about, you know, the higher power issue. I know it's kind of something that comes up in the rooms, and some people struggle with a higher power. They find a higher power of their understanding. I know that, you know, if you take the big book and if you take away all the pages that are not spiritual, if you take away all the pages that are spiritual, the book's very small. It's a lot smaller, you know, because it is a spiritual awakening. We suffer from a spiritual malady. For me, my story, you know, my story of redemption has been through the Lord. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe he came in down and he died on the cross, and now I can go to him, and I have this amazing relationship as he bridged the gap for me. And for me, my God talks to me like a baseball coach. He talks to me like, hey, baby, let's go. You know, you got this. You probably shouldn't do this. You can do that. So I'm aligned with my conscience. You know, for me, I went through the Salvation Army, and like I said, you know, I started to learn that Jesus was a really awesome, good person, that he saved the sick. I really caught along with it, and I read the Proverbs. And in the Bible, there's a chapter called Ecclesiastes where King Solomon had all the money in the world, and he had the looks, and he had everything, and he tried to find happiness on this planet, worldly. So he bought castles, he drank, he had women, he had all these things, and he came to the conclusion that you know, we are never truly happy, that all those wells run dry, but we're never truly happy unless we're walking right with God. And I feel this comes to be true. I've given God my life. You know, he's changed my whole life. He's changed my perspective, and it's from the inside out that this has happened. And he's given me amazing opportunities. I know you've had some amazing opportunities, and you're, you know, like I said, you're an author. You have a nice, amazing book that me and my wife, man, Big Mike, we love to read it. We read it every single day. And I would love for you to touch on that book, because it's just an amazing book. It's 30 days, 30 chapters, and just touch on it so you can get it out there and out in the universe, because it's just an amazing book. I'm super proud of you with that.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, and I really thank you guys for doing that and putting it out there, because, you know, I get a lot of feedback, man. I get a lot of feedback on it. And what happened was I was up in camp by myself. My therapist said, just take some time, no social media. And during New Year's, years past, my kids and I would always write down 5 goals: financial, physical, mental, educational, and then one other choice. And when I was up there by myself, my wife was gone, left me with no money. I had nothing but bologna and white bread and mayonnaise and me and my dog. And I was up there for 40 days, and a New Year's came, and I was like, you know, I don't want to do that because I don't have my kids here. I'm not going to write down all my goals. I'm going to write down everything I've learned in life from the mistakes I've made. And that's where all the chapters in the book came, because they were just statements. It was like, what did I learn? And I took a picture of the writing board that I used to write on, and I wrote all that down. And you know, it was it ended up being 31 things, and I exhausted myself all night long. So, you know, that's what it looked like. You know, that was the writing board right there. You know, and so I'm like, wow, there's 31 things. There's 31 days in a month. Maybe I should expand on like why I feel this way. So like on chapter number 1, it was every day live there, stay in the moment. And like we were talking about earlier, you know, we can't look back, we can't look forward. You know, we have right now.
Yeah.
You
Amen.
know, time's a construct that we have to try and, you know, help us understand things, but it doesn't really exist. Time doesn't exist. We have this moment, and it's gone. And this moment, and it's gone.
Amen.
And that plane's still here.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I wrote all those things down, and then I went back and I started writing on them for the last couple of years, and you know, and then I would post it, and you know, so I got a good following, and I finally got the book published. And something that my therapist said, he said, you know, Mike, you know, you were never given an instruction book in life, and you know, you can't get mad at yourself for not knowing these things, because what you have is you have the critical growth period as a child, 0 to 6 months. Those are when the physical characteristics of your body have to take place. And if you blindfold a baby from birth for 2 weeks, their eyes will not attach, their retinas will not attach, they'll be blind for life. Then you have your sensitive growth period from 6 months to 6 years, and during that time is when you learn negotiation of how to love, how to negotiate, how to be kind, how to deal with problems in a positive way, but you didn't have that. So your brain keeps going back and grabbing the things that are angry, how to beat something up, how to deal with it in a very unhealthy manner. And dealing with an unhealthy manner, like that's all your brain knows. So you're going to have to retrain your brain. And so, you know, so when you talk about the critical growth period and the sensitive growth period is what gives us the ability to become, you know, adults and learn how to function in society and cooperate with each other. And when you don't have that, you know, for me, it was spooling up. Like I didn't know. I just knew, like, fight or flight. If I don't like what's going on, I run from it. Or if it gets too bad, I beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I want to fight it. I want to fight everything and everyone, everything. And my therapist said, you know what? Stop fighting everybody. Learn to lose, and you'll win more. He goes, look what winning's got you.
Oh, man.
Look at that rearview mirror of your life and all that destruction back there. You caused that.
Yeah.
But you didn't know why.
Yeah.
So what happened to you as a child was not, you had no part in it. That was not your responsibility. But now that you know how it's affected your life, how you've been married 6 times, how you've destroyed everything in your life again and again and again and rebuilt it, and that all the things that you've accomplished have not helped you fill that hole in your heart, he goes, now that you know that, now you're responsible from this point forward on knowing that everything you do now, you have to change. And you need to take the next 5 years to be by yourself, and you need to learn about yourself, and you need to really get into recovery, which I would, but I wouldn't, because I kept going back to my wife every 6 months. You know, it just, I would do it for a little bit. I wouldn't do everything he said, but everything he said came true. And, you know, it was that whole awakening when I would spool up, I couldn't stop myself. And so he had me create the first 6 months. Who do I want to be? How do I want to be? How do I want to act? How do I want to be seen? How do I want to treat other people? I want to be loving, kind, transparent. I want to be someone who people want to see coming, not going. I want to be someone who talks less and listens more. I want to be somebody that can help people through his experiences, you know, without exception, abandoning none. And to be able to do that, he said, so every single time you feel that emotional uncomfortableness happen when you're in a situation, you stop, pull back, go back and recreate, like, how would that person who I said that I just want to be, that mantra, how would that person handle that situation? And then you go back and you recreate it in your mind, how would he do it? And you go back and then you address it like that. And if it starts going sideways, you stop, you pull back, you do it again, and then you keep doing that. And through that, that's neuroplasticity. That's how you retrain your brain, how you see yourself, and you now become the master, like Joe Dispenza talks about. You know, that brain, it's not going to tell, my body's not going to tell my brain how to work. It's like, I'm going to tell my body, you're going to do this. This is what's going to happen. So it becomes my second nature, then it becomes my nature, then it just becomes me. And now I don't have to stop and take the time out. I know inherently now what not to do.
Yeah.
As soon as I start going down that bad road, like yesterday, a lady cuts me off, and she's going down the dirt road, and the same one that complains about when I go over 5 miles an hour, I start tailgating her a little bit, and then I'm thinking, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And then I did it long enough to where when she made her turn off, I drive by and she flips me off. And I'm like, oh, I just waved at her. And I thought, okay, well, now I got to go make an amends, and now I got to go over there and tell her I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I know right away, I don't justify it. I don't let it fester. And so, that took a long time. But again, and he told me, and I thought at some point, like, I'm crazy. Maybe I do have, bipolar disorder or borderline personality or whatever. Just give me the drugs. And my therapist said, no, we're going to bring in some more psychiatrists. We're going to observe you for a year.
Yeah.
And we did. I did DBT therapy and I did EMDR therapy. And those really helped. And the psychiatrist said, look, I can't tell if you're just a really good liar or what, but you're very aware of when you make a mistake and what your problems are. So we want you to take the MMHI test, which is the Minnesota Mental Health Institute test and assessment, which will tell the therapist, like, where you score on, and I scored high on a psychotic deviant. And which does, it's not a sexual thing. It's like people who are cops, military, firemen, they all are that's what they have, like a severe trauma disorder. And she said, the good news is you don't got to take drugs because they won't help you. The bad news is there's no drugs we can give you that's going to help you. It's going to take work.
Yeah.
And that's, so that's where all this came about. And I didn't have to take any drugs. I didn't have to take any psychotic drugs because they said, you're not those things. You suffer from extreme trauma. We can give you things that will just make you a zombie, but that doesn't address the problem.
Yeah.
So having a caring group of healthcare people that I got on my own, paid for out of my own pocket, that helped save my life too.
That's awesome, man. I'm super thankful that you made that choice to get clean and sober because you're an amazing person. You have an amazing story. Thankful to know you, I just want to touch up and finish this. We're almost done. I just want to talk about just how gratitude, to me, gratitude, it glues everything in for us, We got to continue to stay grateful, and that's what continues to keep the pink cloud going, and continue to work that solid program, man. And I just want to thank you, Big Mike, for coming on the show today. I'm super blessed to know you. Like I said, I think that this has been a great show, a great conversation. I think that people will be able to relate and resonate with the stories that we have. We're continuing to share the good news, spread the message, and like I said, guys, check out his book. He's got an amazing book out there. What's the name of it again, Big Mike?
Life's a Little Instruction Book, Living Your Best Life.
All right.
And you can get it on bookbaby.com. Book Baby.
Book Baby. I like that.
And on gratitude, real quick, I'm going to tell you
please.
This is what gratitude is for me. Gratitude is God takes everything I have and makes it just enough.
I love
and that's
that.
gratitude, because it's just like everything I have, God says that's just enough.
Yeah.
It's not too much. It's not too little.
Yeah.
And when I can operate in that vortex of everything's just enough, I got everything I need. And Brett really helped me with that. Like, don't worry, the gas will get in your car. Or don't worry, man, you'll have enough food to eat tonight. There'll be enough bologna sandwiches for you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And man, like that made everything so much easier. He said, just focus on the steps and helping others.
Yeah.
If you do that. And so my whole life is helping. We go to Salvation Army Wednesday, best night of the week. Second best night of the week is when I go pick up my sponsees down there, go to chapel with them, and then come back and do something with them.
Yeah.
And man, like that is, it's priceless, and it's selfish because there's no better feeling than that. So I get this incredible feeling selfishly by being selfless to other people.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I Celebrate Recovery talks about the serenity prayer. And it says to be reasonably happy in this lifetime, we're not going to be overwhelmingly, amazingly happy, but we can be reasonably happy. And I believe that. And I think I'm thankful to feel joy every day because it's the attitude of gratitude. I used to try to find happiness, but happiness comes from things that happen to you. But now I have this attitude of gratitude. Like I said, I'm thankful for my drug addiction. So, and I'm super thankful for you, bro, to be on here. And just, this is our inaugural, our first podcast. And it's an awesome one. Thank you, man.
I mean, yeah.
Like I said, I want to be 90 years old on my deathbed going, let's go, baby.
I'll be right there. I'll be ahead of you, so that means I'll be about 110.
That's right. All right, Big Mike, I just want to know if you got something to say to someone out there that's struggling, like maybe day one of being sober, just some advice that you heard early on that really helped you get the momentum going to become sober.
It's hope. You're getting clean sober. You're hoping that something's going to be different. You don't know what it's going to be. You have no idea because we can't think that far ahead. It gets all so confusing. So just know, have that hope. Hold on to that hope. pray to God that someone's going to help you, receive that hope and get to a meeting, and when you go to meetings, the first thing you're going to walk through the door with that hope, and you're going to see people with freedom, and the people who want the freedom. Gravitate towards the people that have that freedom, that have worked the steps, that have a sponsor. And I know it may sound overwhelming, but you've got a desire. If you're watching this, you have a desire. Mm-hmm. You're not watching this if you're getting high, or maybe you are and you don't want to anymore. But if you're watching this because there's something inside you that wants something different. Mm-hmm. Hold on to that feeling of wanting something different. Find someone that can help you with it. Reach out to people. My number, I'll leave it in the bio. You can call me anytime. Anybody can call me. I'll try and get back to you. But find somebody that can help with that little seed of hope that you have and help water that and grow that, because from hope, all things spring eternal.
Amen. Yeah, I love that, man. I like the just for today, just for today. And remember, guys, today matters. Thank you, Big Mike, man. You're awesome. Thank you. So that's going to wrap up our show today, the 90 and 90 podcast. Like I said, if you're out there struggling, guys, hey, man, there's a whole new way of life, man. You can turn your whole life around, and then you get your higher power, and the Lord will turn your mess into a message, guys. If you have any questions or any comments, just put it down in the comments, and we would love to get back to you guys. Like I said, this is our first episode, and we're super thankful to have this tool to be able to spread the good news. And if you're suffering out there, guys, hey, tune in every single episode, and it will be that 90 days, and we will continue to share the good news and show you a way and give you tools to be able to stay clean and sober, guys. Hey, if you guys want to check out this drink right here, it's called Clean, all right? And 50% of its profits go back into recovery. So they'll be actually, when you buy the can, you actually are giving back and helping other addicts, which is super awesome, guys. I just want to say thank you, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. This is episode 1, man. Hey, subscribe, like, and hey, click that bell, baby. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, this is your neighborhood hope dealer. Let's have a great day, and let's go, baby.
But I would do shit like buy a bunch of dope, get high for a day or two, then just be like, I'm done. Go down the dirt road, throw the pipe out, the dope out. Right. And then like the next morning going, man, I wonder if it's still there. And then I'd be out there going through the weeds on the dirt road, and almost every time I would find it. I would just be like...
Well, you won't quit. You'll persevere. Like when you want it.
Yeah.
Break it in the house.
But a night of Xanax, sleeping and passing, and then the next day going, I wonder if that's still back there. And then I'm sussing, and then I'm going down the dirt roads, pretending like I'm picking up trash with my thing, like I'm being a good citizen.
Stay sober. Stay sober. Stay sober, my friends.